Hi everyone, hope you're all having a lovely day so far. My name's Andy and I work in the education team here at Xero, and it's my pleasure to take you through this video, where we'll be exploring how Xero Payroll works. Now before we do get started, please make sure that you click on the link on the screen and check out our Xero Central page. We've got loads of education available, including live webinars and classrooms, where you can ask our specialists any questions that you may have. We have recordings similar to this one and lots more. So do make sure that you click that link and check it out. Today though, we'll be going through the benefits and efficiencies that Xero Payroll can offer you. I'll show you the key features and we'll have a look at how it can save you some time. Now one benefit includes Xero Me, the employee portal, which allows employees to self-serve their payroll. We'll have a look at how Xero helps you stay compliant with the Pensions Regulator for auto-enrolment and with HMRC for those regular payroll submissions. Now Xero Payroll is a HMRC recognised payroll solution, perfect for small to medium-sized businesses. It's a cloud-based solution, so you can access your payroll from any device with unlimited user access. Keep accurate digital pay records and automate a lot of the work, giving you an efficient pay run every single time. Xero will automatically assess your employees for auto-enrolment each time you post a pay run, and will produce the correct communications needed for the employees once the assessment has taken place. And if workers are eligible, they'll be enrolled into the company pension scheme. Oh, and by the way, we'll also reassess the necessary employees when you hit your re-enrollment date. Now you may already be aware that each time you pay an employee, a report is created called the Full Payment Submission, or FPS, and that has to be submitted to HMRC by real-time information, or RTI. If this isn't sent by the employee's payday, you may get an online penalty warning message or a penalty itself. So Xero sends the FPS automatically when you post a pay run, helping you to avoid any late filing penalties. If you have any employment allowance or statutory pay to recover from HMRC, the Employer Payment Summary, or EPS for short, will also be sent automatically from Xero. Now Xero is a complete solution and it links directly with your accounting software. So each time you post a pay run, a journal is created automatically. The journal updates the accounts with the payroll expenses and liabilities from the latest pay run. So instead of you or your accountant going into the software and having to create a manual journal from the payroll reports each payday, these are all done for you automatically. And that is going to save you a lot of time over the year and reduce any risk of human error. It doesn't stop there either. We have an integration with HMRC for tax code updates. Xero will notify you and make changes to employees who have those P6 and P9 notices. A history of these changes will be made in the employee record underneath the Taxes tab. Payroll admins will also receive a notification. Now when it comes to pensions, we've got some great news for anyone that uses Nest or the People's Pension. Xero's built a direct integration with these providers. Once the connection has been made, changes made on the pension website can be updated in Xero at the click of a button. And it's nice and simple to send the pension file across to the provider. And finally, if you offer benefits in kind to your employees, you can payroll those benefits through Xero, which means that there's no more complex P11Ds to complete at year end and no complicated calculations. These are done for you and the information is passed to HMRC on your FPS submission. So we're going to move on and take a look at one of our new feature releases, and you will all have access to this now. Now this feature aims to support calculation accuracy, reduce manual workarounds, and a more efficient pay run every single time. The feature is working patterns and calculations. And in recent years, we've seen the need for increased flexibility when it comes to work patterns and employment. So now you're going to be able to capture the standard pattern of work for an employee, which represents their contracted and intended hours, making the breakdown of pay calculations really simple. So we've had a look at the benefits that Xero Payroll can offer, but one of those questions we need to ask ourselves is, how do we migrate to Xero in the first place? Converting payroll data from one software application to another can be complex and also time-consuming. Ideally, we want this process to be as efficient as possible. Entering organisation and employee data correctly before the first payroll on Xero is crucial. If we get this right, we'll be setting ourselves up for future success. Xero Switching Wizard makes this process simple, fast and accurate. When accessing the Payroll tab for the very first time, you'll be directed to Xero Switching Wizard. Now at the top there, you can actually register for a live payroll webinar. Or select whether you're setting up payroll for the very first time. Over there on the left-hand side, if you're switching from another payroll software, you'll have a link to a guide as well as a short video which you can watch. Once you're ready to go though, you can start that switch. Now to successfully switch, you'll need a copy of the latest full payment submission file sent to HMRC from the previous payroll software. And this will need to be in XML format. By using the FPS file to migrate, we can save time, reduce the complexity of switching to Xero, and be confident the data entered is accurate. And lastly, you've got your employees, who of course are an integral part of the process, because without them, there'd be no need to run payroll. Now your employees can be invited into their own portal called Xero Me at no extra cost. It's included as part of the payroll subscription. And this is where they can request leave and submit timesheets, allowing them to stay in control. They can also access payslips and P60s, which is going to save you valuable admin time. Now Xero Me is available as an app which can be downloaded on both iOS and Android, and of course you also have a web browser version. But with the app they can access all of these great self-serve features on the go. So let's jump straight into Xero and show you how it works. We'll have a look at the employee portal, how auto-enrolment works, as well as HMRC filings. And to kick things off, we're going to have a look at the demo as if we was an employee of the business. Now we switched across to our organisation that we're going to be using in today's video, and that is Emily's Designs. Now we're going to head up to the payroll menu drop down. And what we have here is we have all of those day-to-day admin tasks according to the user role that we've assigned, payroll administrator. So I've got overview all the way down to payroll settings. I also have Xero Me at the very bottom there. Now that is because within this organisation, I am both an admin and also an employee. So please do not worry. When you invite your employees into the portal, they will only see Xero Me from their payroll drop-down. They won't have access to all of those admin tasks above. And when we do send that invitation across from their employee record, if they already have a Xero login, they can go straight in and access Xero Me. If they don't have an account with Xero, they'll be prompted to create one. Now we have some tabs available from within this web browser version of the portal. And remember, you can download this as an app to iOS and Android. So the Overview tab shows us our most recent payslips, including the period, the payment date, the total net pay. I can even download that payslip too to PDF format. And below this I have my most recent leave requests, including the leave type, the description, the leave period, and the all-important status label on the right-hand side. So the Overview tab shows me my most recent information. Next, we have the My Details tab. All of this information here is being driven in from the employee record that the administrator created for me. I can update it though to help save them time, including a photo. I can even update my contact information should my postal address or email address change. I can even fill in an emergency contact detail too. The next tab is our payslips. Now the difference here is that I have access to every single payslip since I started with the company. It's the exact same information that we just looked at. The period, the payment date, the net pay, and again we can download these, which is perfect if we're out and about. Maybe we're going through a mortgage or a loan application. I can actually just hop on and download those straight away without having to email or contact the payroll admin within the company. Next, we have the Leave tab. And similarly, we have every single leave request that has ever been put through since I started with the organisation. I can see the leave type, description, leave period, and actually we can see a few more status labels from within here. We have completed, and we also have rejected holiday requests too. At the top, we have the available leave balance for my holiday. If I want to put through a new leave request, I can do so. And from the pop-out window, we can select what type of request that is. And I'll only be able to select the type of leave that I've been assigned within my record. So we're going to go ahead and choose holiday, and then going to go ahead and give it a description. I'm now able to choose the manager or approver of this leave request, and they will get an email notification letting them know that they either need to approve it, decline it, or edit it. We're going to choose ourselves for now, and they're going to pop in some dates. Let's go with the 24th of May. Xero will automatically calculate how many hours will be consumed by that request, and all we need to do is go ahead and press the green button. And the final tab is going to be our timesheets. Now, timesheets are completely optional within Xero, but it's a great way for your employees to capture those variable hours between week, fortnight, or even month. And actually, the timesheets that we have access to would be in relation to the calendar we've assigned to our employee. So I'm a weekly paid employee, I can see weekly timesheets. And actually, I've already got one which is partially completed. It's sitting in draft status, so we're going to open it up and complete it now. Now I can see that Monday through to Thursday already have hours assigned, but I do need to fill in my Friday hours for this week. And this is where we have 3 columns available. Now the first one is where I can choose what type of hours I've completed. It could be regular hours, overtime hours, or any custom items that have been created for me. Let's go with regular hours. And the next column relates to tracking categories in Xero. Now you're going to be able to introduce an extra layer of information into your reports by using tracking categories. You can get deeper insights into your wage costs, and you can analyse where those costs are coming from. Now we're tracking region within our company, but it could be teams, departments, offices, whatever you want to track in your organisation. You're able to set up to 2 tracking categories in Xero with up to 100 category options to choose from. So it truly does give you flexibility. And tracking categories aren't just for Xero Payroll, they're also for our core single ledger, where you complete those accounting and bookkeeping tasks. So let's choose a tracking category, and of course we're going to fill in some hours. And we're just going to add some overtime on too. Now one thing to be aware of with your timesheet is that you will need to make sure that you fill it in accurately and you complete it. Because timesheets take precedence over any salary and wages information that have been set up within the employee records. This balance here is what's going to be paid to me. We have a summary at the top. Xero's automatically calculated those hours in real time. And below this we have a link to Xero Projects, which is an add-on solution to your core single ledger. And we can use Xero Projects to track time, costs, profitability for those projects we're setting up and assigning to employees. And what I'm able to do is draw through those hours from projects into my timesheet. So I don't have to enter those hours in 2 different areas of Xero. It's going to help me save time and reduce any risk of manual entry error. So what we can do now is we can submit the timesheet for approval. And at the top here, there is one more feature I would like to show you. Now, if you work in an open office plan environment, then of course you may sit next to colleagues and you don't necessarily want them to see this sensitive information, such as annual salary or earnings year to date. So by default, we've grayed that out for you. They're not going to be able to see that. All you need to do though is hover your mouse over those 2 numbers and they will become apparent for you. So by default, grayed out, hover your mouse over and you can see that sensitive information. So now that we've had a look at the portal through the perspective of the employee, we're now going to switch our focus to becoming the payroll administrator. And we're going to go through those day-to-day tasks that we need to complete before we run the pay run. So up to payroll, and as an administrator, we saw earlier how we have access to all of these day-to-day tabs we'd want to click through to. What we're going to focus on first of all is the leave tab, because we just sent through a request as an employee. And within the leave tab, we have access to 2 different sections, current leave and history. And within either one, we will have access to a search bar, some filter options, And we can even sort that list too. Now it's easy to navigate through this page. We have our to review holiday at the top, upcoming, and at the bottom there we should also have, there we go, not yet paid. So let's click straight through to that request we just sent through from Xero Me. I can see the employee, the leave type, the description, of course the dates too, and I can also see the current leave balance of 180 hours. And what's more, I can also see how many hours will be consumed by this particular request. Now, as an administrator, I could then move forward and either decline it with a note, or I could actually just be really nice and approve it straight away. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the History tab just shows us a full audit trail of every single leave request that has ever come through from any employee. And I'm scrolling quite a lot there. We've got quite a few employees within this organisation. So I would always recommend using that search bar to search for particular employees. And again, use the filter options and the sorting options too. Now the next tab we're going to take a look at is in fact Timesheets, because we've just sent through a timesheet from Xero Me. Now firstly, we have a drop down here in the top left hand corner which shows us all of those calendars running alongside each other in Xero. So what we can do is we can assign different calendars to different employees within their employee record. So I could have a few on a weekly calendar, few on a monthly, few on a fortnightly. It really doesn't matter. They're going to run alongside each other and I can process those payslips when the time comes. And as well as that, you're going to help remain compliant, aren't you? You're never going to run the risk of maybe missing an employee and not paying them. Now, of course, we're interested in the weekly calendar for today. And at the top here, I can see that that is the timesheet that's been sent through from the portal. So we're going to open it up and take a look. Now, we're happy with all the hours that we've entered previously. So as an administrator, I can now go ahead and either approve it, decline it, edit it, or even delete it completely. But let's go ahead and press approve. Because what we want to do is drive through those hours to the draft pay run, which is where we're going to go next. So up to payroll, and we're going to drop down to pay employees. Now what we will see on screen is a table which shows us every single calendar that's been run previously. We've got the pay period, the dates, and we also have the amounts too. And on the right hand side we have the status label. So these pay runs have in fact been posted, which means that the journal has been posted to our accounts capturing expenses and liabilities, and the FPS has also been sent to HMRC. And from the drop down box we can see all of those calendars, again running alongside each other, as well as the payment date for the next calendar. So we're going to process this weekly 28th of April calendar now. Now Xero will drive through all of the employees that have been assigned this calendar within their employee record. And we can see those employees sitting there in list format, ready for their payslips to be reviewed. And at the top here we have all of those aggregate totals for all the individual payslips that are included within this pay run. Now we can see those employees here, and actually what we're going to want to do is review the data within. So let's open up my very own payslip first of all. Now I can see that I've got some regular hours, some overtime, and I also have a paperclip icon, a blue paperclip icon on the right hand side, which links back to that timesheet, which we submitted as an employee and then we approved as an administrator. Now even at this late stage, I can click straight through to that timesheet using the hyperlink on screen. I can even edit the timesheet hours too. Now there is one other thing that we can do here, because I'm sure that you'll be creating those permanent pay templates within your employee records, but I can also make any short-term adjustments. If I go ahead and click add, I have all of those different earnings types that I can now add to my payslip. So let's go ahead and add a bonus. As soon as I enter the amount, Xero will update those balances in real time. And those balances will include pension calculations, student loans, national insurance, tax, and of course, the all-important net pay balance at the bottom. So we're happy with my payslip. Let's go ahead and press save. And we're going to follow the breadcrumb back to the overview stage. because there is one more employee that I would like to review, and that is Oliver Jones. Now, Oliver is a brand new employee. They've only just started with our organisation, and we're happy with their regular hours. That earnings have been driven in from their permanent pay template. We're good to go. But you may also notice that we have no employee contributions for pensions. And as I scroll down, we have no employer contributions either. Now that is because Oliver is a new employee. As soon as we post that first pay run where they're included in on, Xero will complete the assessment for us for enrolment into the workplace pension scheme. We don't need to do that manually. Now, if Oliver is eligible, he'll be entered straight away and the pay items will be created for him. We'll also create those letters that you need to send to the employee. You can email them or download them, which will help you remain compliant with the Pensions Regulator. So to recap, we're simply awaiting that first pay run to be posted so that Xero can do that assessment for us. So with that in mind, let's press save. And again, we're going to follow that breadcrumb back. Now, before I do press post at the bottom here, we do have some options available from that drop down. We can run reports before we complete the pay run. We can view the pay slips. We could see a breakdown of every employee's pay slip and all the earnings and deduction items included within. That would be the activity details report. We can even have a look at the P32 to maybe check the liabilities that we owe to HMRC. But for now, we're going to go ahead and press post. Now when I do so, we can see a pop-out window which lets me know that those employees who are brand new to our company, they're going to be assessed for enrolment into that workplace pension scheme. And I have the option of postponing them for up to 3 months. But we're good to go. We're happy. Let's press confirm. Now the next window will let us know that we need to provide a reason if in this instance we have a pay run which has been sent across late. So I'd always recommend that you choose the correct reason, but for now we're going to go with reasonable excuse. And we can also see the action that's going to take place once we complete the pay run. The full payment submission is going to be sent across to HMRC automatically, and the journal will be posted too. And that's going to, of course, capture expenses and liabilities and keep our reports up to date. So let's complete the pay run. Now at the top here, we can see that it's been posted. We've got that status label there. And we can also see this big green banner, which lets us know that yes, the pay run has completed, but also that our new employees have been assessed for eligibility into the workplace pension scheme. And actually, Oliver has been enrolled. Now we will take a look at his employee record in a second, using that hyperlink there. But just before we do, we now have access to some further reports, now that we've completed the pay run. So firstly, we can email payslips out to our employees and they will be encrypted. The instructions on how to decrypt those payslips will be in the email itself. But remember, we also have access to the employee portal. So whilst yes, we can tick those boxes there and send those email payslips out, well, as soon as we posted the pay run and completed it, employees can actually access their own payslips through Xero Me. Now just closing that off, we can also download payslips for our records. We can also have a look at the payroll activity details report, which we're going to open up really quickly and take a look as to what's included. Now there is a lot of information included within this payroll activity details report. It breaks down each individual employee and all of those earnings, deductions, benefits, pretty much every single item that would appear on their payslip. And remember, you can run this report before or after completing your pay run. So it may be that you'd want to process the activity details report, send it across to a client or a manager for approval of those figures. We can see Alex at the top here, all of those items that we've processed. And then we scroll down to my own payslip too. There's that bonus we just processed for £500. So what other reports do we have available to run? Well, back into the options drop down, we can also access our P32 report, which will show us all of the liabilities that we owe HMRC, a full breakdown of taxes, national insurance, any reliefs and allowances, and even statutory pay too. So let's go ahead and download that P32. On the left-hand side, we have the tax period, the month, and then we have tax, student loans, allowances such as employment allowance, NICs, and any statutory pays as well as recoveries. Now on the second page, we have a continuation of those stat pays and recoveries too. We also have CIS. And most importantly, on the right-hand side, we have an amount due column, which shows me what I need to pay to HMRC for that tax period. So let's go back into Xero Payroll and take a look at what other reports we can run. And one of those reports is going to be really useful when it comes time to paying your employees, and that is the bank payment file, because we are able to now download a BACS file or a faster payment file, and we can then upload it to the banking provider's webpage. And that's going to ensure that we don't need to pay our employees individually. Instead, it's one file, one batch payment for all net pays. And it will also make the process of reconciling a bank a breeze, because you'll only have one statement line to reconcile rather than individual statement lines. So we can download that and of course upload it to our bank's webpage. So there is another report that I'd like to quickly have a look at, but just before we do, let's roll straight into Oliver's employee record and take a look as to what exactly has changed. Now here within his pension tab, we can see that the status, the date, they are greyed out. Xero has completed that assessment for us, and of course they've updated that information automatically. And as I scroll down, we can now see that underneath the summary section, Oliver's enrolled, and we can now download or email out that letter, which helps us remain compliant with the Pensions Regulator. Now talking of pensions, let's go straight into our pension filings tab, because we do have some really useful contribution reports to take a look at. Now, if you have a direct integration with Nest or the People's Pension, you'll be able to send across those contributions literally at the click of a button. Instead of seeing markers filed, you will see Submit to Provider, give it a click, and it will send those across via that direct integration that we've built for you. And again, that's for Nest and the People's Pension. You'll then need to log into their webpage and schedule the payments. But please don't worry if you don't have Nest or the People's Pension. It's just as easy to send across contributions. You can use the overflow menu to download those PAPDIS file formats, and again you could upload those to the web page, schedule the payments, but in that instance you'd come back in here and press Mark as filed. Now one final report to take a look at is actually housed within our reports centre. So accounting and down to reports. Because we have our very own payroll section from within here. And by the way, the report centre houses hundreds of different templates, not just for payroll, but also for our core single ledger. So financial performance, financial statements, payables, receivables, and finally, there we have it. We've got our very own payroll section. So loads of different reports for you to choose from. Once, of course, you've processed your pay runs. And by the way, I'd always recommend that you reconcile your reports on a monthly basis at least, because you don't want to get to year end and find that there's errors which you need to look back upon, maybe even adjust. It's going to take up a lot of time for you, and it might be quite a complex task. So reconcile monthly, that is what I would always recommend. And one report we are going to take a look at is the gross to net report. And this is a fully customizable report which you can use maybe month in, month out to reconcile your accounts. Now, first of all, we need to select all of the employees included within that date range that we've processed calendars and pay slips for. And from the drop-down, we can select suggested dates. I'm just going to go with last month, April 2024. We can add or remove any columns that we can see here. And we can also group or summarize our data. And I'm just going to summarize by employee and then update. Now, what we can see on the left-hand side is that we have all of the employees. There we have them, included within that date range. And then we have our gross earnings column. Now to the right of that, we have all of those deductions that will appear on the pay slips until we eventually arrive at the net pay. That is what we're paying our employees through the bank. Everything to the right-hand side of this will be employer costs, and they will appear, of course, on the profit and loss statement. We have the totals row at the bottom, just totaling up all of those columns. And just really quickly, you can export this information out of Xero to PDF, Excel, or even Google Sheets. So you can take your data out of Xero, maybe ready for a client meeting or maybe internal consumption. So that brings us to the end of today's video. If you'd like to find out more about Xero Payroll, you can register for further educational content via Xero Central. It's also where you'll access all of our helpful support articles, and you can raise a case with our 24/7 support team. There'll be some useful links too within the video description, so be sure to check these out.